Hi, my name is Amanda Little, and I'm going to be doing my persuasive speech on why vaccination should be mandatory. Measles is one of the leading causes of deaths among young children worldwide. The measles vaccination is credited with preventing an estimated 15.6 million deaths just between 2000 and 2013 alone. Vaccines of all kinds prevent 6 million deaths every year worldwide, and before the measles vaccine came out in the 1960s, the United States saw 3 to 4 million cases of measles annually, which resulted in 400 to 500 deaths a year. In 2012, there were 20 states that allowed personal belief exemptions for enrollment into public school or child care programs. Some of the exemption forms were signed by parents who only filed the vaccine exemption forms because they found that easier than missing work for a doctor appointment and the other inconveniences that comes with vaccinating a child. Along with personal belief exemptions, there are medical and religious exemptions. In one analysis, it was found that whooping cough rates in states that allow personal belief exemptions were more than double in states that allow only religious exemptions. Non-medical exemptions can be dangerous because they threaten what's known as a herd immunity, which is the immunity of a community as a whole. When a high percentage of the population is vaccinated against diseases, then they simply cannot spread like wildfire. Here is a graph. This is the rate for non-medical vaccine exemptions. Darkest red is 6% and over. The next color red, which is Idaho and Michigan, that is 5 to 6%. Vaccinating your child also protects those who are medically unable to receive vaccinations, such as people who have cancer or have a compromised immune system. My dad has a very weak immune system due to different medical issues. Although he received his vaccinations as a child, he is still susceptible to some diseases and cannot receive vaccinations or boosters to protect himself against them. Someone who chooses not to vaccinate, or a child who has parents who choose not to vaccinate them, can be dangerous to my dad. My newborn godson, who is not old enough to receive many different vaccinations, is in danger of contracting different diseases such as measles because of people who choose not to vaccinate. Vaccines protect you and the people around you from many different deadly diseases. Potential risks greatly outweigh what could happen if the trend of not vaccinating your child continues to rise. A good example of this is the recent measles outbreak in California. Measles is still common in other parts of the world. So when travelers with measles brings the disease to the United States, it can spread into communities where there are groups of unvaccinated people. In the recent outbreak, the majority of people who contracted the measles were unvaccinated. You can see in California it was 20 plus cases. And then we have Arizona with 5 to 9. In 2014, there were 644 cases from 27 states reported, and 141 cases alone in 17 states just from January 1st, 2015 to February 13th, 2015. Measles is a highly contagious virus that can spread to others through coughing and sneezing. Measles can live for up to 2 hours, not only on the surface touched by the infected person, but also in the airspace from them coughing and sneezing. Measles is so contagious that if one person has it, then 90% of the people that person is close to who has not been vaccinated or who is not yet immune to it will become infected. Regardless of how old you are, measles is serious. Common complications with the measles virus include ear infection and diarrhea. Doesn't sound too serious. Ear infections occur in 1 out of every 10 children and can result in permanent hearing loss. Severe complications include pneumonia and encephalitis, which is swelling of the brain. They will have to be hospitalized, and even then they could die. As many as 1 in every children with the measles develop pneumonia, which is the most common cause of death from measles in children. About 1 in every 1,000 children develop encephalitis, which can lead to convulsions and can leave a child deaf or with an intellectual disability. And those are just the complications. The symptoms you will get include high fever with spikes over 104 degrees, cough, runny nose, and conjunctivitis. 2 or 3 days after symptoms begin, tiny white spots appear inside of your mouth. Three to 5 days is when the rash breaks out. The rash begins as flat, red spots that appear on the face and spread down. Small raised bumps appear on top of the flat bumps and may become conjoined as the rash spreads down your body. Vaccines of all kinds prevent 6 million deaths a year worldwide. It was once thought that the measles vaccine was linked to autism, but it was found that the study was flawed and actually was a result of the author, Andrew Wakefield, being paid by a law firm to publish a flawed study in hopes to sue vaccine makers. As a result, an analysis involving 1.2 million children was done and shows that there is no link between autism and vaccinations. Contrary to what many people think, only 1 in 1 million children have a serious adverse reaction to a vaccine. This is what you can count on your vaccine doing. You are actually 100 times more likely to be struck by lightning more than once. Also, contrary to the accusations that doctors only try to force vaccines for the money, is also very false. More than 30% of the doctors who administer vaccinations actually lose money by doing so. Did you know that just the measles vaccine, life expectancy in the United States has gone up by more than 30 years? Infant mortality has dropped from 100 deaths per 1,000 to 7 deaths per 1,000. In other parts of the world where measles is still common, the virus spreads rampant among commonly unvaccinated individuals. The result is an estimated 20 million cases of measles and 146,000 deaths, which equal out to 400 deaths a day, or about 17 deaths an hour. With an alarming number of cases being reported of a disease that was once considered eradicated from the United States is proof enough that something needs to be done to stop the growing number of unnecessarily unvaccinated children. People who choose not to vaccinate do not understand that their unvaccinated child affects a whole community, because even if a small number of children do not receive their vaccinations, then the immunity rate for the whole community drops below safe levels. Many people who choose not to vaccinate argue, why worry if I don't vaccinate my child? If you vaccinate your child is protected. They forget that infants are too young for many vaccines. Many toddlers have not received the full set of vaccinations yet, and there are people within every community who cannot receive vaccinations due to true medical reasons. In Marin County, California, personal belief exemption rates are 4 times that of the national average, and they have the second highest whooping cough rate in the state. During the California outbreak of pertussis in 2010, more than 9,000 cases were reported and 10 infants died. It was the worst case of whooping cough in 60 years. With horrifying evidence of the damage not vaccinating can cause popping up all over the United States, it is safe to say that something needs to be done. Stricter guidelines need to be put in place, and parents need to be properly educated on the risks of not vaccinating their child. Maybe all exemptions but medical should be taken away. There are quite a few daycare facilities where I live that have already stated they will no longer be taking children who are not vaccinated. This happened after a mother came in with her newborn to pick up her child from daycare. The newborn is not vaccinated because he is too young. A child in the class with the child being picked up had the measles virus and was in the beginning stages. The newborn is now being monitored because they were exposed to the measles virus. What a horrible thing to have to go through. It angers people, and rightfully so. Many states are introducing bills that will make it harder to obtain personal belief exemptions and offering classes to properly educate parents on vaccinations. Every argument I have heard for personal belief not to vaccinate has been proven wrong with a little bit of proper research. I then find that it is pride that takes over and the reason why parents continue not to vaccinate. 1 in every 1 million child has an adverse effect from a vaccine, most of the time not fatal. But if you do not vaccinate, you are 90% likely to contract a disease that will make your child very ill to the point where it will have lifetime effects and could very well kill them. How is that better? I believe parents should have to be evaluated on their reasons not to vaccinate, and then the state should have a say-so in whether or not it is a credible reason and whether or not the child remains unvaccinated. It is a few what-if side effects. Is that worth what that vaccination protects your child from? My references are cdc.gov/MMR, cdc.gov/measles/cases-outbreak.